if we had a calculator and we put 5 plus 5 in the calculator and it came out 11, is the calculator wrong? And of course, immediately everyone goes, of course it is, right? It should be 10, not 11. I go, no, the calculator's not wrong. The program's wrong, right? And that's like our brain. We have programs in our brain. The program is only going to do what it was programmed to do.
Talk to me about the process of looking at repeating patterns, raising your awareness so you can begin this process of having a better life.
Yeah. So to me, this is the heart of my work. So there was a big study that was just done that released 85% of the population is not self-aware. They're not solving for themselves. Everything is in their environment. And we would say from a consciousness standpoint, they look at life like I'm at the effects of life. Life is happening to me. They have no way to solve for themselves. And this is where everything starts. And when we talk about awareness, the frame I would use is anywhere in your life, which is what you're explaining, that you continue to get an unintended consequence. We could say negative or positive, but normally people look at the negative ones. Anywhere you continue to get a negative unintended consequence, you lack awareness. It's happening unconsciously. I'm not trying to continue to create this, but it continues to happen. And you're exactly right. What ends up happening is people will tell them the story of themselves. And their story or their identity goes, well, this is just who I am. This is just my personality. This is just how I was raised. By the way, those are all statements for me in the book. I talk about these are all triggers that can provoke.
Is this book out?
No, not yet. Hopefully it'll be up at the end of the year.
So what's your working title?
The Identity Gap.
The Identity Gap. I want everybody to put into the comments, what's the better title? The Identity Gap or How to Yourself? Please put in the comments which one you think that you would buy more.
So anywhere you're getting an unintended consequence, you're in a repeating behavior and you're at the effects of life. And I look at it like the fly hitting the window, right? It's like this time it's going to open. This time it's going to open. Just keep it in the window. Well, go look in your window. There's a bunch of dead flies. They eventually just die there because they don't know how to solve for themselves. They don't understand how they're showing up is having an effect on their world, because most people don't see it that way. They think the world is having an effect on them and they don't know how to solve for themselves. So this is what I'm really passionate about is 85% of the population doesn't know how to solve for themselves. And we use these expressions like, well, that's just the way I was raised. That's how I was taught. That's what my parents taught me. That's what my teacher taught me. That's how we do it in my country. That's how we do it in my culture, which I'm not saying those things are inherently wrong, but if we don't take the time to evaluate whether they're inherently right, they may very well be not serving us, right? So I firmly believe that wealth, as an example, isn't a possession. It is a mindset. It is how you look at your world. It's an education. Right. And the transfer of wealth happens through education, through mentality. And we see that when you look at wealthy people who don't do a good job at teaching the next generation how to manage wealth, it is lost because it isn't a possession. It is a mindset. So if you grew up with a poor mindset and you grew up around people with a poor mindset, it would be easy to think, well, that's just my lot in life. That's how it is in my country. That's how it is in my family. That is how it is in my town, without realizing that that could be shifted. You just have to upgrade what you're talking about as your program. And I use a very similar example to the printer, but I say, if we had a calculator and we put 5 plus 5 in the calculator and it came out 11, is the calculator wrong? And of course, immediately everyone goes, of course it is, right? It should be 10, not 11. I go, no, the calculator's not wrong. The program's wrong, right? And that's like our brain. We have programs in our brain. The program is only going to do what it was programmed to do, right? That's all it can do.
Interesting.
And that's how your brain works. It's only going to do what it was programmed to do. So if you want to get a different result, you need to use a different program and you need to upgrade your programming. So that's a lot of self-awareness is just coming in and going, well, is there another way to look at this? Is this absolutely true? I like Byron Katie's work here. It's just 4 simple questions of the work. Is it true? Am I absolutely certain it's true? How does it make me feel believing this is true? How would I be if this wasn't true, right? It's like, wow, it's just the crack of light to go, hey, maybe there's a different...
Who has these 4 questions?
It's called The Work by Byron Katie.
Byron Katie?
Yeah, and it's fantastic. It's 4 questions. She probably turned it into a book. I just know it as The 4 Questions, The Work. But it's brilliant because you can get people to reframe things quickly. So it's 4 questions, and the first 2 questions are literally the same question twice, just to get people to get it, right? Like, is this true? And if somebody's emotionally triggered, so, example, let's say my husband just thinks I'm a maid because he doesn't clean up. He never puts his dishes away. Okay. Super emotional about it. Is this true? Yes, of course it's true. Are you absolutely certain it's true? There's no other reason why? Well, maybe there's another reason. So the whole crack of light is like, well, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it isn't true. right? And that's
to get past the knee-jerk
just to
reaction.
get right, and to get past the idea that, well, maybe my belief system isn't accurate.
Mm-hmm.
So you need two questions just to get people to go, well, maybe it isn't true. Right? Okay. Well, how does it make you feel believing this is true? Well, that my husband thinks I'm his maid, his servant. She's like, shitty. Like, I'm not his equal. Like, he doesn't care about me. Like, wow, that sounds really horrible. That's not a fun way. No, I don't want to live that way. Well, what would it be if that wasn't true? Oh my God, I'd love my husband so much more. I'd feel so much closer to him and be so much more. Your whole thing started with a belief system, an assumption that may not even be accurate, that you're not even aware of, that you're choosing, that's creating a whole story and impacting your relationship with your husband. When if you just did the conscious work, you're like, well, maybe this isn't true. It could shift your whole story about your relationship with your husband as a kind of tongue-in-cheek example.
Yeah, I mean, or you were raised a certain way that bath time for your kids was going to be this way.
Yeah,
and then you have your spouse do it, and they don't do it that way, and it makes you crazy.
Right. I mean, you have a story about why that is. Yeah. Right.
But they didn't do it right, quote
right.
unquote, because that was how you were taught from somebody else.